What is up, guys? This is Taylor, and today I'm going to talk about back when I was in kindergarten. And kindergarten, I'm not sure exactly what they call the grades over in the UK, but essentially there's pre-K or pre-kindergarten or preschool. Those all mean the same thing in the US. Then there's kindergarten, then it goes into first grade, second grade, third grade. And so you are between the ages of 5 and 6, I think, when you're in kindergarten. I know I was a little bit younger than everybody else. But then you turn 6 in kindergarten, turn 7 in first grade. I remember this now. I got this down. So anyway, kindergarten. Just a question. I wanted to ask this. I was in kindergarten from, I guess, fall 1996 to spring 1997. So when were you guys in kindergarten? How old are you guys? Like that, I'm really curious about that because it seems so weird thinking that there might be some people watching me who were born in like the same year I went to kindergarten. I don't know. It's just strange. It's just very odd to me because I know my younger brother, who's 12 now, he was born in 1998, so he wasn't even alive when I was in kindergarten. So there you go. Or you can even ask Woody about it. That's kind of cool that I was in kindergarten between 96 and 97. But Woody was actually one of the few kindergartners still alive right now who was a kindergartner between the years of 0 and 1. And that's pretty remarkable. I'm pretty impressed by that. Go ask him about that. He's got a lot of great stories sitting on Aristotle's lap and such. So anyway, on to the story. So first day of kindergarten is kind of your first day of real school. Pre-K, kind of fun, not so much. You just kind of goof around. Not to say that kindergarten is some rigorous academic test, but it is a little bit more like real school. You start to learn how to read, or at least you kind of hone your reading skills. And the first day of kindergarten, this is my first real experience with school, and I remember it very explicitly. One of my clearest memories of a school day ever, just because it was so ridiculous my first day of school. Okay, so I get there. I don't know many of the kids. Everybody kind of is doing their own thing, standing around, and then it turns out that my teacher just ditched, just didn't show up. Apparently she got really, really sick that morning and just decided not to come in. And so at a last-second thing, Miss Dykstra, or Mrs. Dykstra, I still remember her name. She came in and she was going to be a substitute teacher for us, and she's an older woman. She was usually the librarian, and so none of us knew her, and she was the teacher. And she took our roll call. Everybody was there. Everything was going good. And because it's the first day of kindergarten, it's not like they're going to make you do work. They're trying to get you to have friends. And so they're like, all right, let's go out to recess. So we all go out to recess, and we're all goofing around, and we have this big blacktop area where we used to play football. And of course, this wasn't like tackle football or anything like that, but apparently well, not apparently, but you could push the people to the point where they would fall over and then just kind of play the ignorant I'm a kindergartner card. And I knew this, and one kid was really irritating me because he cheated. You were supposed to put the ball down and then step back and leave the ball where it was after a play, and this kid kept like sneaking it up like a few feet every time. Like, you guys know the kid I'm talking about. You know that neighborhood ass clown who would do that bullshit in the middle of games. And he was doing this, and and one play he was running it, and I got really close to him, and I was thinking about just tagging him out, just doing the two-hand touch, and he's done. But instead, he was running like really close to the woods line, up by the corner of the parking lot, and so I pushed him really hard. He tripped over I pushed him. He tripped over that little barrier thing, the little curb, and then he tripped. It wasn't a bad fall at all. I'm not gonna pretend like I pushed him and I was some behemoth monster that just owned him, but like it was a shocking enough fall that he started crying a little bit, because when you're that age you don't really cry because you're hurt as much. You cry when you just got scared, or like you're startled, or like you don't know what to do, and like shit like that. And so I didn't actually hurt him, I don't think, at least I hope not, but I've never told anyone that. I never admitted to it. I said it was an accident. So you guys can't be telling this now. It's going to ruin my whole career if they know that I pushed that kid on the first day of kindergarten. And so that was the first thing that I did that I didn't get in trouble for, because I just said it was an accident. Now, the second thing, we went back in, and I actually went in before the rest of the kids for recess, because I wanted to go in, I wanted to get a drink of water and go to the bathroom. And you know, if you guys go to grade school, you know that they don't just let you go back in for recess. They line you up, and it's really meticulous, and it takes forever, and they make you like hold a rope, or like they treat you like you're literally just pigs that are just going to run around squealing if they don't take control of you, and which is exactly what would happen. And so I went in, and I went to go sit back down in the classroom, because I was like, oh, recess must be over anyway. So I'm just sitting in there, and I'm the only one there. There's no teachers, there's nothing. And what am I going to do? All by myself with no teachers. I grabbed my glue sticks, and the seats that we sat on were like this hard blue plastic. And if you know the glue stick I'm talking about, these aren't the kinds that are like Elmer's glue where it's white and really visible. This is the blue kind that you can just rub all over something and it dries clear. And so I took this blue kind and I started smashing it and slathering it all over this kid's chair who I saw. And I don't even ask me why I did this. I don't know why I did this. I just thought it would be funny because when you're a little kid and you imagine like a person sitting in glue, like when they stand up, you imagine them like lifting their whole desk up and they're just like, oh no, I'm stuck to my chair. And then like me in the corner imagining this is like, oh my god, this is so funny, I can't believe it worked. And like that's just how little kids think. And so I'm just slathering just tons of this glue on this kid's chair, and you really can't see very much of it. I smoothed it out because the chair was blue, the glue was kind of clearish blue, so it really blended in pretty well. And so the kid came back in with the rest of the kids at recess. I was in there, and I should have realized that I was obviously the only person in there, so when the teacher found out about this later, inevitably she was going to know who did it. But alas, my kindergarten brain did not think of my escape route, and so we all sat down. Nobody noticed it for a while, and I was just kind of like just imagining it to myself how funny it would be, not really thinking of the ramifications. And then the kid stood up, and it wasn't like I imagined. It was so disappointing because you know as a kid exactly what I'm talking about, that you imagine him to like stand up and like it's gonna be like a loud ripping of his pants or something like that. And all that really happened was like he stood up and it was like gooey, like just kind of like kind of sticky, but not enough to do anything. And I was kind of disappointed. And then the teacher got really mad, and she wasn't retarded, and so she figured out it was me. But I didn't even get in trouble because it was the first day of kindergarten, and she was just like, Taylor, you can't do that. And I was like, oh, hot shit, I'm not getting in trouble. And then, just to push my luck again, I got in trouble a third time in kindergarten, and I didn't even think this was a big deal. I was playing with blocks, right? And oh my god, I got in trouble 4 times, and I just remembered the fourth one, the last one of the day. Okay, so I'm sitting around playing with blocks with my friends, and or I guess kind of my friends, the kids that I've known for like, I guess 5 hours at this point. It was nearing up to the end of the day, after recess, after PE, after lunch, after all that stuff, and we were talking about some cartoon or something where they had like booby traps, probably Scooby-Doo or something. And so we started designing our own booby traps, and like it escalated really quickly because there was this one really weird kid there who I'm not gonna say his name because it's a pretty unique name, just in case he actually catches up with this. That'd be kind of scary. And he was really just kind of weird, and like we were talking about the traps and like making like Scooby-Doo-esque jokes, like not really talking about blood and gore and stuff, and he was like making like really nasty jokes, like, oh, this is the way this trap works, is it like snaps a nail down through your fingernails and just rips your hand off. And like it was just like, Jesus Christ, dude, we're like 5 and 6 years old. And, well, actually he was 7, he was held back, but there's always that kid who's held back, who's naughty and mischievous. And so then me and my other friend, we started doing that too, because we're like, oh, this kid's cool, he's older than us, and he's talking about all these like violent things. We're gonna start talking about it. And then a girl, her name was Kendall, overheard us and went and told the teacher. And the teacher had nothing to do with that. She came over and scolded us and told us not to talk about it, and it really wasn't too bad. But then we got on the tangent of making fun of this girl Kendall, because we were like, wow, why would you possibly tell on us? That's ridiculous. And then she, well, we didn't even know, but it turns out that she ended up being autistic, and so we were making fun of a mentally handicapped girl for a while, but it wasn't our fault. We were kids. We didn't even understand what mentally handicapped meant. We didn't get it. We didn't know. Right over our heads. And so I feel so bad remembering about that. Because like when you're a little kid and you meet someone like that who's just different and they're still in your class, like you don't think like, huh, I wonder what mental deficiencies she suffers from. Like you don't think like that. You think like, she's weird, let's mess with her. Like, because that's what kids do. Kids are cruel. They really are. I know I was a cruel kid. And then that wasn't so much something getting in trouble. I just thought that was really funny how just my ignorance played in. But the final way that I got in trouble was pretty much the most stereotypical way a little kid does get in trouble. I said penis, and apparently penis is the most miserably, terribly offensive word in the entire English vernacular, because she took me out, like after all the shit I'd done that day, gluing a kid to his chair, tripping a kid, making fun of a girl with mental deficiencies on accident, let me say that again, on accident. And after all that stuff, I say penis once, and she was like, Taylor, out in the hall. And she had to talk to me and tell me that that was a naughty word, and that I had to, like she told me something really weird to say. I don't remember what it was. Something like front parts or something that she wanted me to call it, like front area or front parts. I remember because it was really weird. I don't remember exactly though. But that's my end of my story of my first day of kindergarten. Got in trouble like 3 times, and like when you're in kindergarten, like you shouldn't be getting in any trouble. You shouldn't ever be scolded. Like, I don't know. But anyway, that was my first day of school ever, my first attempt at academia, and it failed miserably and crashed and burned. And yeah, it didn't really get that much better from there. The rest of kindergarten, I hated to read, and so what I would do is I would just memorize the story. I would just memorize it. So like she would assign us tests based on the story, and so instead of actually learning how to read the syllables and learning the syntax of the English language, I would just learn each individual story and just memorize it. And so when she would be like, "Hey Taylor, come read about Ted and Todd up in front of the class," I'd be like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'll read about Ted and Todd." Just open my book, start reciting the story, and then close my book and then sit down and I get my A in that. But if I ever had to read something that we didn't know about, like just a random page, I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know how to. I can't do this. I can't read. Sorry, I can memorize, I can't read." And so that was a dark day for Taylor. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this story, and leave a comment about your ridiculous stories of academia. Bye bye, love you.